Now let's look at this article that appeared in the month of March 2015. It's written by your examiner. Okay? Now, history has shown that he has wrote a few articles in the past. There was one article in September 11 and one more in October 11, and both of these articles were actually tested in the December 11 exam. And there's one article about Islamic finance that was written in September 13 and it was tested in December 13. So the June 14 article, that's what June 14. June means exact date is after your June exam. It was written at the end of June 14. Yeah, and it was tested in the December 14 exam. Now you know why you study history. Alright, so if you study history, we should not make any mistake from this March article. March article 15, it should be tested in, should be, I'm not saying it will, I want to exclude liabilities. So it should be tested in June 15 exam, but the only concern I have is the examiner wrote this article, is it for the June 15 exam or is it for the September 15 exam is yet to be known. I can only tell you on the 2nd of June. Is that clear? So you call me. Yeah, for those who are going for September exam, I think a few of you all are going for a September exam. So what you do, you wait for the questions to be published in June 15. 2nd of June, usually they publish 3 days after that. You see the question, or you call me. You call me, I'll tell you whether it's coming out in September or not. If it's not coming out in June, put your money on September exam. Is that okay? So this is a very important article for the future exams. The future exams, not this June. I just want to be safe here. Alright, what is this article about? Now, this article is about securitization and tranching. Now, securitization and tranching is a hot topic last time, in the time where you had European debt crisis and many banks failed and all that. But examiner have specifically mentioned still remains a relevant issue for the P4 students. Means what? It's coming up for your exam. That's what it means, yeah? Still relevant for the P4 exam. Of course, you can read all this part here on your own. But let me explain to you in my way. Now, what is securitization and all that? Now, you see what happens in a bank's balance sheet. Yeah, in a bank's balance sheet, you will have assets. Yeah, you will have assets and you will have equity and liabilities. Is that clear? You have equity and liabilities. Okay, you will have equities and liabilities. Okay, now these assets in a bank's books, okay, in the bank's books can be, usually the biggest assets the banks will have is what? Loans given to clients, correct? What type of loans they have here? They'll have maybe credit card loan, yeah, credit card loan, maybe housing loan, mortgage, yeah, mortgage loans, they'll have probably, what? Short-term loan, long bank loan, housing loan, whatever, all different types of loan they used to have. Student loan, borrowing money for studies, all this loan. And the loans can be up to like 1 year loan, up to maybe 20, 30 years loan. Correct, no? So which means, will they have problem of liquidity? Meaning, they took the money from equity capital, they borrowed these guys here. After that, they got no more money to borrow again. Correct enough? So what the banks would do, they will try to use this loan as an asset and raise more money. That's what they do. That's called securitization. Okay? They use this asset as a security. They say this asset can generate income. Can this generate income? Yes, because of the interest that you're going to collect. So this asset is going to generate income, and they are going to give you some cash flows in the future. So what they can do here is take these assets and issue more bonds. Is that clear? They could issue certificates of borrowings and all that. Let me put it in a simple way. What you can do is, like, let me give you a concept. Now let's say I put a housing loan. Okay, let's put all these guys in a housing loan. Okay, that's all this is a housing. This is a wine bottle. Yeah, this is a wine. Sorry, not halal. Huh? Okay, it's not Islamic. Okay, never mind. We put what, the champagne. What? But y'all, I see y'all pouring. Yeah, during a function, correct? Wedding function, y'all used to pour, correct? I see all the datos also go up there and pouring. So I think it's okay. This is fruit juice, right? Is it fruit juice? Huh? Sparkling, yeah, sparkling drink, okay. Yeah, wine. Champagne, okay. Champagne bottle. Okay, let's say this is housing loan. Let's say I'm a bank here. I put all my housing loans, these are my assets, right? I put all my housing loans inside this bottle. And end of the month, this housing loan is going to give me interest. Is that clear? That means this is going to flow up. That means end of the month, the cork will pop up. Boop. All right? It will pop up, and what's going to come out here? The wine will start to flow. Is that clear? That is called the income from your assets that you have created earlier. All right? So what you do, let me put down, let's go to a wedding, yeah? Wedding where you will pour the water, the wine into the wedding glass, and then this is the last silver tray at the bottom, correct? And when you pour the wine into the first glass, does it get filled up? Definitely. There's no chance that you're going to pour here first. Is that clear? Then your marriage life will not be a successful one. We have to believe some feng shui or whatever. So you start from the top and it starts to overflow, and it comes to here, then it will start to overflow. All this bottom glass gets filled up, and then the last part, this also gets filled up if there is a full bottle of wine. Usually the wedding time, they'll give you a full bottle of wine. It always gets filled up. Is that clear? Now, in terms of bank, what they do is they issue these bonds, something like bonds, for investors to buy. Fund managers can buy these bonds. People who are interested in this flow of income can buy this particular glass or can buy these bonds. And usually this one is quite safe. If you buy this glass, it's quite safe. Is that clear? People can rate this bond as AAA bonds. Is that clear? And they might give you a return of, let's say, maybe high return or low return for this one? High or low? Low, right? Because it's what? It's very safe. Less risk here, should be low. This one is probably AA rated bond. Maybe they give you 4 to 5%. This one may be BBB rated bond. Maybe they'll give you 8%. Now this is called the equity tranche. This is called this is called capital structure. Capital structure is called tranche. All right, this is called the equity tranche. End of the day, whatever the balance, he gets it. Yeah, and this is going to be the equity tranche. Maybe they'll get a probably maybe 20% return for this thing. Exactly. So the story here is the banks hope that the income will flow in and everybody will get their returns from here. Okay, that's a simple concept of securitization and tranching. Very clear. Okay, now what's the problem then with our bank? The problem with our bank here is some of the bank, let's say for example, they buy this glass. Some of the investing bank, the investment bank, the investing bank, or investors of mutual funds or whatever, they go and buy this particular glass. Let's say they buy this particular glass, and for them, this is their asset in their balance sheet. Correct? This is their asset in their balance sheet. And now they want to create more cash flows from that asset. So what they do, they put this glass into another set of bottle of wines. Instead of putting housing loan, they are now putting that class of champagne glass into this wine bottle. And end of the month, the flow is like this. The flow is like this. This is where the main source of income is. This is the main guys. If these guys pay, everybody gets paid. Is that clear? So those days in America, everyone bought a house. They took a mortgage loan. Economy was good. Everybody paid their loans on time. All the glasses gets filled up. This glass gets filled up. When this glass gets filled up, I'm talking about this glass here. When this glass gets filled up, what happens here? This bottle of wine is full of wine as well. So this comes up, boop, all right, and then they issued this using this flow of income. What did they do? They issue again another flow of set of glasses of wine. They call it. They convince the market. The credit rating company rated this particular glass at AAA. This is rating as AA, and this is still goes to triple B. Even though we know this is a triple B rated asset inside here. Okay, so what happens? This is equity tranche again. So people borrowing money using whatever they have. Correct? And end of the day, if this is everybody pays here, well, this glass is going to pay you returns. So this gets filled up, everybody is fine, economy is good, things is perfect. But the problem will start when the main fellas here start to default. Let's say there is a 30% default. When there's a 30% default, what's going to happen here is that, well, there will be a flow of wine here. There will be some flow of wine, but who gets it first? The AAA guy gets it first. They're safe. They're always safe. Second guy gets it something. The third guy might get some drippings here. Last equity tranche don't get anything. But what happens here? This glass is a bit filled up. Yeah, a bit filled up. Correct? Is there a flow coming in? Probably just enough to fill up one glass only. The rest are all lousy. What if they get nothing? What if they get nothing? End of the month, the cork pops out, pop, and nothing comes out here. Even though they're rated AAA, they're having a lousy asset. Okay? When I say this is what you're carrying in a balance sheet is called toxic assets. Very clear. Of course, you can read this up yourself. It's the same story that I've mentioned here just now. Now, look at this, the structure of CDO in the article. Come, look at the article here. The structure of the CDO is an example of a possible structure for the CDO is as follows. For a pool of mortgages taken over an SPV, three tranche, the three stages here. The three stages, and let me just make it bigger here. Okay, please see your article, all right? Please see your article. I'm just making it bigger here. Now, tranche number one is high risk. That's called the equity tranche. In our case, is what? The silver tray. Yeah, the silver tray. is the highest risk, and normally comprising about 10% of the value of mortgages in the pool. Normally not many, 10%. Throughout the CDO's life, the equity tranche will absorb any losses brought about by default on the part of the mortgage holders. Will they be absorbing any losses? Yes, they are the one that's going to absorb, up to the point that the principal underpinning the tranche is exhausted. At this point, the investment will be treated worthless. If they don't get anything, not even a single drop of wine or sparkling juice for Muslims, sorry for that. Okay, so it's going to be worthless. Tranche number 2 here is the intermediate risk or mezzanine tranche. Consists of 10% of the principal usually, and will absorb any losses not absorbed by the equity tranche. If the equity tranche is dry, they might also take the risk now. Is that clear? Until this point in which the principal is also exhausted. Tranche 3 is a senior tranche or AAA, consists of the balance of the pool value and will absorb any losses. They will be the last to absorb any losses. Okay, who absorb the loss first? The bottom guys. They are going to suffer. They will get the reward first. Yeah. Okay, next one. The proportion of the principal held in each tranche is known as the CDO, collateralized debt obligation. CDOs. Yeah, read the article. CDOs, collateralized debt obligation, and is that perceived to be of little risk of default, then the percentage of value of the mortgage pool forming an equity and mezzanine tranche are quite small. Okay, like for example here, look at the last paragraph. When the cash flows are received from borrowers, my case is who? The mortgage loans. Is that clear? When the cash flows are received from the borrowers in terms of interest payment and loan repayment, these payments are paid to tranche 3 first. That is the first glass of wine bottle, correct? Tranche 3 is the triple rate guys. Until the obligation is fulfilled, tranche 2 gets second, and anything left over is given to the equity tranche. Any default that hits tranche 1 first, tranche 1 will any default hits tranche 1 first, then tranche 2, and so on. The repayment represents a waterfall. Examiner is using a waterfall concept. This is a waterfall coming from the hill, and you are standing here with a bucket of water. You're saying a bucket of water, right? Holding tranche like the bucket of water. Senior tranche will get it filled first. Your bucket will get filled first. Once your bucket is full, then only the water will end up in the pool. Correct enough? Same concept. I use the wine glass. Okay, mezzanine holders will get filled next, and anything left falls into the equity pools at the bottom of the river. Is that okay? Now look at this example here. So probably there would be a question on a simple calculation, and there will be some interpretation of this concept. Is that clear? Yeah, I will do a similar question of a past paper later. Okay? Now, example, a bank has a number of mortgages, loan to customers with a current value of 350 million. Okay? You got a mortgage loan to customers, a current value of how much? 350 million. The mortgage has an average term to maturity of 10 years. Fine. The net income of this loan, this is the mortgage loan, the housing loan just now. They will give you 7% a year. The bank will use 85% of these assets, the 85% of this 350, okay? The mortgage pool as a collateral for a securitization with the following structure. 75% of the collateral value to support tranche A rated loans offering investors how many percent? This is the first glass of the wine glass. This is the first glass. This is the first wine glass. 15% of the collateral value to support tranche B rated loans, giving you 11%. Okay? 10% of the collateral value to support tranche of the subordinated certificate, which is unrated. This is going to be the silver tray at the bottom, not rated. The estimated cash flows from this arrangement would be as follows. How much you get inflow? 350 times 7% is 24.5. Out of the 350, 85% is going to be for the first set of tranche A rated. Correct? So 350 multiplied by 85%, that is the amount that you're going to borrow, and 75% is taken up by this class A rated, and you're going to give them 6%. So they will take 13.4 from this 24.5. Very clear? Okay, good. Now B rated loan is going to be 350 multiplied by 85, and it's going to be 15% of it. Correct? No? 15% is passed to them. They will buy this one, and they will get a 11%, so they get 4.9 from here. So total outflow so far. Do you think the last fellows get something? Yes, because the total is paid is 18.3. Yeah, 18.3. Now, how much balance you have? So the balance you have here is the difference, 24.5 take away 18.3 is going to give you 6.2. So 6.2 is going to be the leftovers, and that belongs to the last class of investors. Subordinated certificates have a value of how much they've invested. 350 times 85% is the amount that I'm going to issue. They took up 10% of that figure, correct? So they got 29.75 million investment, and they're getting a return of 6.2%. If you calculate the percentage, 6.2, if you calculate the percentage, 29.75 return on investment, right? Is how many percent? Great, 20.8%. However, the return is at what? Risk. You know why, right? If the flow doesn't come in, the waterfall stops flowing, then the river bottom will be dry. Is that clear? Yeah. There is a reduction in the income from the mortgage. Whenever there's a reduction in the income from mortgages resulting from customers defaulting on their mortgages, and then it's going to be a trouble. So how the exam questions can test you is they can test you what if. Maybe they can test you on sensitivity. What if there's a change in maybe 1% of this flow? What happens to the return? Will it be also 1%? You know, they can test you on probably sensitivity. Are you okay with this? Ken? Actually, it's a straightforward concept if you talk about these wine glasses. Okay?